Welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. We're gonna chit chat a little bit more about the self agents and the ability for us to understand and communicate like an art. So, the art form of communicating is not with a weighed down medal of honor from yesterday's news. Okay, so some people, they consistently are weighed down by their traditions, others are not using traditions with that mass. And that's because when we establish a consistent bond with our inner child, we no longer seek a missing parent in others. Thank you, Patrick Tan. When you are a person who is a securely attached, non traumatized individual, you don't have any of those false temples. And even when those who you will have grown up with, so I grew up with Christian Catholic upbringing, and I do not have any issue with anyone or any of the institution because I'm not holding on to charges. There are things that I definitely know need to be let go of, worked on, but there's a whole group of the same people that will use the same word who say no. So the rumors that were spread about not only yoga, but even something along the lines regarding the most recent gone Pope, I actually heard misinformation on it because the situation that was happening was twisted and turned by those who decided to do it, which is really upsetting because that's the part of where oh, what is a leader? Yes, thank you, Sadhguru. It is the ability to bring out the best in others that makes you a leader, but that's the part of where people who are adaptive child part are not bringing out the best in each other. They are bringing out adaptive child part people who have father mother wounds and who in fact carry with them words, but these are words that are of their shadow parts that are unseen and that have low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive, or anyways are people who are completely in the 0 8-year-old of themselves. I was talking to yesterday, and we continued a little bit more today too, on what a securely attached self-agent knows about vows and having compersion and integrity. And today we continued that. Vows, compersion, integrity, bringing the best out of each other and others. And so here at IHP, I inspire your higher human potential by sharing with you my life and stories as not only a 5D mystic, spiritual, also mindful, living, loving, empowered woman and empowered person who's also grounded in reality. So any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. However, I am a person who, thanks to mindfulness, mindset, and mindset, brings forth an expansion of consciousness, and that free will is definitely something that I enjoy. But that if I have to accept that determined from Robert Sapolsky, which I haven't read yet, I can accept that because from the attachment trauma perspective, the securely attached non-traumatized person who self-regulates in their ventral vagal state is anchored in ventral energy and has a higher self. Well, these are the ones who say, it's not boring to put into practice health and to actually be able to talk to people. Oh, it's not boring to notice if there are habits of mine that I will be working on because, so you don't talk about the drinking, drugging, fucking business as anything black and white. You don't talk about polyamory, monoamory of any person's love life in a way as if it's locked up in a little box. Church, not church, spiritual, not spiritual. People who are grown-ups are able to talk, again, about pretty much anything grounded in reality. The pause self people, the comedians, they get into their hissy fits because they have charges, and so that's not people who understand or communicate in any way, shape, or form effectively. But I know how to excel in the art form of being a person who will say nothing because, excuse me, you're confusing science and spirituality. I'm having fun already because I met enough of insecure people when I was a teenager. This is where those 11, 12-year-olds that I got to see in one of my hypnotherapy sessions is what they do. They didn't do this, but they think they're this. Instead, no, they're not that. When they think that their heart is coming forth, they have a charge, likes and dislikes, and then they decide to make what their adaptive child part thinks should be the right way, wrong way, which is why Terrio calls it a losing strategy. It's also why it's reactive. So exiles, protectors coming out of the woodwork. I don't got a person. I got a karma wheel, self-fulfilling prophecy of a person who isn't even capable to notice that their first 3 years of life and their first 8 are leading them. But they will notice if instead they're a person who is not holding on to tradition with weight. Okay, and so when I say integrity, it's I will not be ashamed of me based on though having what is called a clear conscience. So I have an inner child in me. I am star-born, and so are you. And I am my own mother and my own father, meaning my own empowered masculine, my mind, and my own empowered feminine, my body. And with my embodied brain, I am able to do Dharma. Thank you, Sadhguru, for the translation. He says it is not a teaching, philosophy, or belief system. It is based on clarity of vision about life here and hereafter. So when you're using your prefrontal and you have the fact that your cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable, thank you, Sam Harris, grounded in reality. When you're a functional adult, bare minimum, as Terry points out, we will know how to say, here's my affect, here's my meanings, here's my story, here's everything, and we have a good conversation. And nobody is weighed down by it, okay? So nobody feels ashamed, defective, like they need to hide something away, or like they're going to be punished. There's not any of this shadow. I am going to be able to feel free to talk to from an open heart as the one for me. And that's first of all within yourself. So understanding and communicating, the first place that you excel as a self-agent in the art form of it is with your own self and self-compassion. That doesn't mean you're giving yourself pats on the back. It means you're not allowing yourself to be weighed down by that which would be gut-wrench, torn apart, self-loathing, da-da-da. Now, if people don't go to therapy and get the psych education so they can spot that stuff and begin to do a journey and then commit to it, that's the very difference. At IHP, we take healing trauma seriously, which is why I try to make sure you understand secure, attached, non-traumatized people love all people. The ones who don't love all people and have shit to say about people, and it's not that you love in the sense, again, no, it's that you have a good time talking about topics. So you don't get into a little sword fight where you need to prove you're right and they're wrong. So when people are not curious, open, accepting, and loving, you're going to notice. I have a good time whether I'm with these or these. These, of course, expand me. And these, well, I just put up with the bullshit. So let me see if I can have some stories for you of the bullshit. Because, yeah, it's funny. Okay, so let me remind you. The medallion. So when you can uphold tradition in your own way, that means that you're okay with your ancient history folk. Whether they understand it or not, you are okay with whatever words can be presented to you. And as a person who is, again, not within the norm, I'm going to say it that way, I'm used to engaging in different types of interactions. And as I get more and more of that self-agency with the higher self, I'm able to talk. So with the polyamory community, for example, I am in the agreement that anyone loves the way they love. One, I'm also in the agreement that nobody chooses for partners who is and how is and whatever. And those who are, though, closed-minded, there's bountiful of them. And it's not going to be by saying you're not poly enough that you do anything, or, by being upset at comedians who call you a whore or not. I mean, really, there's a woman who tells you about don't think wedding bells after they fuck you. And I'm thinking, you obviously don't know what happens once you've gone fuck, lady. And then they go on to tell you to perform. I mean, this is the most very obvious insecure human being on the face of this planet, because you ain't performing for love if you're a whole self. It's, hey, Eric, I got a tail. What do you want? That's Ariel right now. I ain't going to Ursula. You think I'm an idiot? I don't need no magical spell to get you back. Excuse me. I have a story of someone who did do that. They went to a person that told them, look, it'll all be fine, a tarot reader. They didn't like the it'll all be fine eventually. No, I want it now, says the person. And they say, so I heard through the grapevine that there are also those people who do the things that you don't want to do. Meaning interrupt that whole free will that nobody can. If you are a mystic and you are that which is connected to source, you already know it doesn't happen. No body is bigger than source or consciousness. And no matter how many different times people think that they can embody it completely because they're wording things to themselves, that's where a shadow part is going to make themselves feel bigger than they are, because you still got a 0-1-year-old attached panicky and a 3 to 7 who has no owner. That's the person who owns the body, not the other way around. So when I see a person who has an amygdala working on them, I got a comedian in the forefront. They're playing Magicaboo, that's what is happening for a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, not to mention they're disrespecting every single one of our ancestors for me. But besides that, having people in my energy sphere, it ain't funny at all. I'm just like, okay, are you done being a whack job, Maria? Are they done being in my space? That's about it. That's the most that has happened. And in one occasion, I simply said, you know what? I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to make it into a big deal, but I'm going to undo, basically clear the energy sphere, and I'll know once I've cleared it up. Because it's not spell work. Give me a rest. So I don't use those words, and I don't believe in those words, because it's an energy sphere and I'm a part of it and you're a part of me. And so whatever's happening, simply put, it's kind of like a chord where, oh, look, something's happening. There you go. And that's done. And that is actually why a difference of those who are empowered versus those who are not. Those who are not, again, it's not only the part of how I'm speaking. They don't own their mental and emotional body, let alone their physical body. As long as you don't have a window welcome to affect that is your own, and you haven't created resiliency in your emotional body with your nervous system, yes, and your nervous system doesn't involve that you have to have suffered in life. You have 6 basic human emotions: anger, fear, sadness, disgust, surprise, and happiness. And happiness is pretty easy to master. So is surprise. I'm pretty sure so is disgust. Those that are the biggest ones, I'm going to say, would be sadness, about connection, and that's bonding. Anger is about self-agency, and that is where I got to master all of mine. My 3-year-old, she still comes up with my mom and my twin. And then there's fear. Fear, panic attacks. Thank you so much. They gave me practice in processing all of it. So when you are a person who's working with your prefrontal cortex, you're creating what is called emotional resiliency on a roll, and that's why love is full of beauty, and we are full of excitement and enthusiasm for emotions as we get there. Because you understand that you are mastering your own mental, emotional, physical plane. You don't get lost in any of those stories. So long story short, I know that I was going to share one of those stories, and I don't remember which one was it. Hold on. The ones in my energy sphere is not important, but long story short, that was really straightforward. And someone's like, how'd you do it? I light candles and pray, white candles, and I light them until I feel the energy sphere is clear, and that's it. And because they're not bad luck, or they're not mean, or they're not all any of those words, I remembered. So this human being, they don't have a joy for what they're told by their tarot reader, their consultant, their guide. They say, no, I'm not satisfied with this. I want it to happen now. And the person that consulted said they were just being a person who just wanted what they wanted, which is where you got teenagers. Mean Girls, anyone? Or whatever other crappy movies out there, Hangover, anyone, stupid shit on TV still, and grown-up women and men watching it. I can't even believe it. I can't begin to tell you all how not amazed I am by men and women out there. The more I notice that they're not excellent at all in self-agency, and they don't understand and communicate. Nope, they just like to talk about themselves as damsels in distress. The men just get, I don't even know, justifying their bullshit, very disgusting habits. I'm so happy I'm not a man. I mean, this is the one part, and I'm so happy there's real men, because the reality is I'm just completely disgusted by the men who are bad examples of each other as they get older. And they really, I can't do it. I hope that there's more better men out there. Terry Real, thank you for being out there. And I hope there's more of you, Terry Real, because the world needs more men like you. And that's because he teaches men how to feel emotions versus be idiots about it, and just get over themselves. He also teaches women the same, by the way, to get over themselves. So with that being said, this woman doesn't let it up, and they go and they pay a buttload of money to get this love spell, whatever it is, which obviously backfire, because anybody who knows anything about consciousness, you don't do interrupting free will. But what you also don't do is cut cords, because you're one big ball of energy. And so with this being said, when 3D, 4D, this frequency was finished on our planet, I've been ascending for a while, there was a shift. I remember the day because I noticed it like my same colleagues did. And this one of them was this lady. And I said, you know, what our ancestors used to be able to do in a different way, because the energies were denser, and so it was a whole different story. That's no longer happening. Now it's everyone's for their meaning that you are gonna either flow and expand, or you're gonna stagnate. And then we had a second moment, which was recent, I forget, last year, but that was where I actually had confirmation of it as I was doing different readings. And for 4D, just as I knew what 4D and 3D are, they're self-fulfilling prophecies. They're just stagnating again. They're not expanding, because this is the part of where if you don't choose to expand yourself, I'm going to bring to you the human elements. You're not using two sides of the brain. Your whole self is not there. You are not an interesting human being at all, and your heart isn't even open. No, you're just pretending. And so when ascension energies come about, all you're going to do is play your shadow ups and downs and merry-go-rounds. You don't really have a good communication of anything, and you're just going to intermittently reinforce your bad habits, your roller coaster bodies, and you're going to solidify in whatever soul age group you're in and whatever story you told yourself. And as an orphan, that would be your second year of life, began telling you how to interpret the body's feelings and how to interpret everything, and then other people started talking to you. So you're using grown-up words that were not yours, and you're not looking at your subconscious, your 0-8-year-old, with the therapist, so that you can become a self-confident human being at some point, shape, or form, which is why I appreciate you, Terry Real Man. So Terry Real helps people to become great, excellent communicators with themselves, first of all, and then with each other, and fierce lovers. Here, again, we understand and communicate as an art form, because as self-agents, we excel in allowing ourselves to always transparently share what we think, what we feel, and when people don't get it, we're so sorry. I didn't realize I didn't have the possibility to use what words I wanted to use today. So you just learn to cater to that, which is those who have a weak ego. Yes, weak means that they're so sensitive that you really just don't bother talking about anything that will be something they don't like, because seriously, you can try to expand conversations, but it's not intriguing. On an intellectual level, people who are closed-minded are not interesting to be around or talk to. At the same time, you can learn how to share information and to continue expanding each other, because I mean, that's what we do anyways. But when it comes to, again, integrity or vows or bringing the best out of each other and others with compersion, it only happens when you have those who want each other's best interest, which means I'm not going to tell you how to love. I'm not going to tell you how to live. I'm not going to tell you what marriage is or not marriage is, or what. I'm not going to use yesterday's news as the way to gauge that which is your life. I'm going to use a very simple, basic premise. What makes you happy inside? Are you happy inside? Do you feel expanded? Because that is where it's most important. Your heart is going to be always something that I bring forth, because I'm going to care about that one thing, and that is, are you uplifted when you wake up in the morning? If you're a self-agent, you will be, because you have self-awareness, accountability, and regulation skills. And so you're not in a brain that's non-bilaterally integrated. You're in a brain that is bilaterally integrated and vertically and overall. So up and down and up are seamlessly yours without any struggle. When sensations, images, behaviors, affects, or meanings struggle, people think it's easier to be dead than alive. Their dorsal vagal, and that means dysregulated body, and modulated body, dysregulated and modulated embodiment, are not the highlight of life. And people who grow old and distressed, they don't grow more energized by the minute, so they will feel, as they get older, their weighed down body. And those who have instead integration of the brain and the whole self and are resilient in this, they don't feel weighed down, because again, it's a physiological response. So it's not your muscles, it's not your tissues, it's the capacity for your child parts to be all asleep, for you to have an understanding and a communicative effort with them if they come up, because they still come up. They all live in those very age groups, but your whole self, so you don't talk to them as one part or two parts. And that's why you can present them in your relationship with the one, the actual one. And as for polyamory dynamics, just in case you're curious, people who are polyamory have different dynamics. They talk about those things amongst each other. The ones who do hierarchies, I find that very sad. And I was saying that some of us don't feel disgusted about something, but when I say these things, remember, we have all the feelings. So I'll be talking about a topic and then I get caught up in it in certain ways, and so I then notice it. But the point is that that's not disgusting. What's disgusting is having a person think that they're healthy and then they get off of people having panic attacks and then they don't do anything about it. So that's disgusting. At the same time, is it? Well, I mean, I can say that I don't feel happy to know that somebody's getting off on somebody being hurt. So, it's not evil, Knievel, medieval. It's disgusting because it's also unhealthy. Because, if you get a cut and it gets bacteria in it. So see, I mean, I can go down all the paths of why that disgusting comes up, because it's a emotion that serves us to stay safe from nature, because we are part of nature, but still without antibacterial, you could die from it. And yes, I know about healing oneself, but again, I'm also in knowledge with science. So please, unless you're one of those who doesn't want to take your children to the hospital, you can go somewhere else. Just saying, the inconsistencies of people sometimes. So I always have some way of knowing how the comedians will respond to when you're trying to explain something, because there's just so many orphaned parts out there who have a group to go hang out with. Flat earthers, you having a good time yet? So again, we're excelling consistently in self-agency here at IHP. I am, at least, and having a good time telling the comedians with the unseen and the shadow parts are fabulously, as our hearts are open, and so are the ones, and the self, their hearts are full of ups and downs and merry-go-rounds. And when they have the unseen exiles, protectors come up, there's their low self-esteem and direct communication, passive-aggressive. They hide away, they shy away, they maladaptive patterns. They're not expanding. So expanding self or becoming a clown. And becoming more of a clown of yourself means that I get to see your fight-flight eyes. Not an energy vampire, no, just a person who's slowly shutting themselves into dark sides of neuroplasticity, which never makes me happy to think about, because it's actively not something that has to happen. But, people that don't want to go get therapy don't care. And that's why I'm with you, Patrick Chahan. They're all cowards. So understanding and communicating. The art form here is that self-agents care about ourselves and others. So if you're a mask, you didn't care about yourself or others. You don't know what living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self is yet. So not even true spirituality. And you also don't know how to use two sides of your brain. And therefore, you're not your own mother. You still have a mother wound. You're not your own father. You still have a father wound. You're not your own star baby. You want to be a star, and you're not your eternal child, so you don't have fun even when things go wrong, which instead, those of us who know that dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, they happen. Our health is priority, because that's how we're going to take care of each other, is by being able to grow old together. And so that's why vows are not about where you come from, what you do, not, and integrity, again, words, compersion, and being the best version of you. All of them don't matter as much as the physiological state and response. Thank you, Stephen Porges. So if you don't know how to navigate your social engagement system, you're not going to grow old and energized, because you ain't an integrated brain yet. I'm going to notice, because you're going to get stressed out with people, number one. And that's very sad, because that one actually drains a bunch of people, because they still have those child parts that have complete capacity to be welcomed by the grown-up that they are now, and become a functional adult and know how to use their nervous system in the social engagement system, and then to have the grown-up conversations, and then to let things, so meditating, mindfulness, practices, journaling, but having done that with a therapist that led you somewhere, not because you know shit on your own. I know there's a lot of people that think that doing it by yourself is the way. I've met them. They have had bad experiences with therapists, and I say, look, there's good ones out there. Just recognize that if you are not in a space of expansion, sooner than later, I would rethink your strategy, because unfortunately, there's reasons why those therapists are out there, which means a good thing. And that's because they know how to talk about all of the psychoeducation better than I, and then they have regular exercises and things that people will do. But also, Patrick Chan points out, when you first go, not only get your emotional body online, but also the part about you don't have to forgive anyone. He says, you're going to be in the fetal position. You're going to get all the emotions slowly, not quickly. They're not patching it up. You actually are not going to be able to process everything, because you're going to get your window tolerance shot in the roof. So that's why that fancy lady, she wants to dismantle modern day therapists. Sure, go ahead. You're not dismantling shit. You just don't know what they're doing because you don't care to. Because they're imprisoning you. Because anybody who's addicted to their visceral with the superhero and supervillain wants to be in an inner critic in their brain and then an outer critic and do that shit. It's a shared no, it's not even shared. It's a roller coaster inner fantasy, which is a maladaptive ruminating pattern. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Fox, which isn't understanding. It's not communicating. You're bullshitting yourself away, and there you go. That's not this. No, you're just doing what is a clown's behavior. And that's because if you don't grow, again, more energized by the minute, then you're doing something called not inner growth, self-growth, spiritual growth. I'm pretending to do stuff because I decided to do that. And in fact, I'm going to prove that there are. Anytime, people get into that, or they flip a switch, that I've seen. So through the ascension energies, what I've noticed, those people who begin one way, they will flip and flop, because that's the inconsistency of a not securely attached body, is that they don't own their sense of self. And so they have a certain amount of leaders that are all buffoons like they are. You'll know who they are because they follow each other around, and then they just sound loud together. They switch up what they're dressing up as. They switch up what they like and don't like. I mean, really, it's hilarious. It is. Let me grab I need to show one of the cards because I was thinking about something right now. Oh my gosh. So anyways, as I was told in my council meetings, so the medallion, when it weighs you down, it's burdensome, inheritance, habituation. So people who drag their feet around, and then they say that I had this one guy, polyamory, you're all masochists, not the healthy self-worth ones. That's hard. But you did tell me, you asked your parents to tell you what to do, right? Your job, because you knew they would tell you what made you happy, right? Yeah, so you're good, right? Because what do you say? What do you say when someone says that's hard? Healthy self-worth is hard? Like when someone's like, it's really hard to decide what you want to do in life. No, I knew when I was 8 and then when I was 16, and I haven't changed my mind ever. I've just consistently followed my heart. And yes, the career paths moved around, but that's not change. It's called Maria's heart is leading the way, which is why I don't need it to be explained to me. But the part about having you understand it is where this is the medallion that you carry. Use your human name, and then yes, your ancestors come with you, but they're not you and you're not them. And that's because, again, a higher self says, I'm Maria. And the appropriate guardians are, okay, your anger can come out. I won't be making you afraid because you got angry in my face, but no hands. Hands not good. So hands, for example, we don't use hands. And actually, yeah, it's taught to us to be very disrespectful if you ever raise the hand to your parent. Although we don't know what childhood trauma survivors talk about, right? So you didn't have the opportunity to talk back or hit back. So that's the part of where I still remember being taught is very disrespectful to raise your hand at a parent. Like, it's not even about fear. It's like actually disrespectful, which made me think of those commandments with God, right? So don't disrespect your mother and father. So I feel the sensation is one of respect your elders, not I'm afraid of my elders. And so this is where, of course, if an elder is abusing that which is an older person, and they're hitting you, At that point, one could say that there are those who would not hit back due to respect, but then they would be putting up with something that is abuse. And then there are those who would defend themselves and hit back, and they might feel guilty the same, but they would have done something to protect themselves. And these are episodes and situations that we don't want anybody to really be in. And when they are in it, is why it's not black and white. You don't have to be claiming that you know parent or child, FYI. Although we all give our own thoughts and opinions. And here's where ideal parenting is a third of attunement, repairing rupture. So again, traditions, vows, integrity, and all of that to show the children, yes, it's called walk a walk and talk a talk like a securely attached human being. Be an empowered woman, be an empowered man, be an empowered they. You don't say, you're not poly enough. You don't say, we want trauma to stay because we want our kinky stuff to stay. No, we don't say... You have to take us in. We actually walk a walk and talk a talk. And so that's where the people who are shouting at each other and they're continuing to shout, I get it because they're wanting to vote. Shouting isn't going to change how the voting stuff works. The conspiracy people then have their own stuff to do. So, I mean, really, that rabbit hole can keep going and going for anybody who wants to just hang out with a group with a charge. And there you go. And are they really making a difference? I'm going to say they're making as not big a difference as they think they are. But then again, I'm going to know that we all make a difference together. So we evolve. And as a species, we're continuing to do so. So nothing has changed from the past, but things have changed because we are more humane. Look at me. I'm a woman, again, talking about polyamory. I'm a woman talking about the different ways to God. I'm a woman who is not afraid to speak up because I'm a self-agent, though. And because I come from countries that I know I can, because that's actively the truth. I don't know anything different. So I can't know what it's like to be in another country, but I can know when I see one from those countries look at me from the West with eyes that are speaking, you come to my home and you, as they're pointing, not like that because we're all grown-ups, but basically their eyes are doing this, don't understand what you do when you send your people over to our countries and then our families are starving to death because those children are the only and so this is the part of where I got into conversation with this man, anthropologist something, and he and I were talking about this very equation. I said, look, I'm in favor of the world being completely free of war, of all of that, right? I'm in favor of it. I know I am. And I know most of those who are in the sphere of love are too. Where's my piece of paper? Hold on a minute. And that's because it's not proof of anything, but it's to bring a point of something related to one. Not only do we have soul age groups, but I found out, and I need to find the website again, that every country has soul age groups. And so that there's karma that they are actually still working through, if you will. And again, this is one of the data points. Doesn't have to be fixed. Nothing that is shared as words or symbols is fixed in stone. And so if you're a self-agent, you excel in understanding and communication because you are a whole self. Integrated brains. I'm speaking today this, tomorrow I might speak that. That's why one of my friends said I'm a hypocrite. I said, no, I'm not. I just, no, I didn't say that to him. I said, I understand your definition. I can go with that because, yeah, I do say this and that are true because that actually is true. That's why I'm not going to say the flat earth isn't flat. I don't know. Maybe it is flat. I'm not going to be the ignorant human being who says I know everything because that to me is the ignorant human being. You don't know everything. And that's where ignorance is that people who make statements of them knowing everything don't know everything. I do not know is the doorway, the only doorway to seeking and knowing. Thank you, Sadhguru. But if we didn't have people who wanted to know, we wouldn't have balance. The circle of life. So that balance, which is where love and fear coexist. So enlightening ones with consciousness and free will and expansion, whether you want to use human evolution or not, but we are human and we're here. There's going to be consistently, at the very bare minimum, two sides of a coin. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. It means that they interact so that they can expand. And we have not just two. We have a rainbow of colors. There's 8 billion fucking people out there. So this is the part of where, to me, somebody looking me in the eyes, telling me that I'm intervening, there isn't a black and white thinking way to answer into this. And this is why It is the ability to bring out the best in others that makes you a leader. Thank you, Sadhguru. Being a leader does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. Thank you again, Sadhguru. And being a leader means you use your prefrontal cortex, and your personality patterns are very, very much your ownership. And so when I meet a facade, I will know who they follow and I will know who they are. And then I will also know that they could go and get their child parts taken care of, as well as their trauma charges with people. But as I've been told, and that is not only from the therapist, but also my lovely counsel, those orphans are not Lucifer. They are lower frequency, and my fearful brothers and sisters are going to consistently be that which is cosmic karmic balance. So we can give ourselves permission to do things. The cosmic karmic balance is never broken. And those who think that by them being able to see others as source and that them embodying source means they know everything, no, you can't make foreseeable future prophecies, whatever's for tomorrow, because you're usually using something from the past. Some smart man, he shared this tidbit. It was in a video I was watching, and I was like, well, that's actually what you're right, man. What's his name? So his name is Federico. He's an Italian American. He's a related Federico Faggin, or he's first Italian. I'm an American Italian. It is a difference. I know that some people might say no, but then again, my heart is Italian, but I'm American Italian. English is my first language. People who don't realize it, really, every time, oh, you speak English so well. It's my first language, but I'm American Italian. Maybe you didn't understand me the first time. Maybe you're speaking over me, and that's what usually people do. But for a committed person, there is no such thing as failure, just lessons to be learned on the way. Thank you, Sadhguru. So you repeat yourself, and then sometimes you don't bother, because why does it matter if I tell them that I'm American Italian and they're acting like I'm not from here? And, really, what was it? Demonic spirits seek to hurt, kill, divide, demoralize any people. Yeah, and then there's this other way that this person also brings in the demonic spirit. It's called evil spirits. They promote corruption, malice, and depravity in the world and in humans. Well, humans are deprived. No, their depravity comes from their trauma. So if they all go get healed with Patrick Jahan, then we will see them stopping to be unkind at some point, because he's still working to rework the unkindness that comes up from his childhood, because he was treated very poorly. The distorted and past self of him needed to learn how to grow up, and then to stop looking outside himself for father, mother, and then at some point to be able to, with that child, be like, fuck you, boss, not in their face, but basically, and to feel okay with it. And he's doing a great job. Thank you, Patrick Tan, for being out there. So integrity, what other people say about us doesn't matter. We will not be ashamed of what we have done. And the greatest gift that we can give to another human is to accept, respect, and love them. So while Sadhguru shares that, we're all a seed, but if you don't make anything out of the seed, you're just a pebble. We know that even pebbles work. Cusco throws that pebble at Pacha. He got his attention. Was it actually a nice way to communicate to Pacha that he was frustrated? No. Was he being childish? Yes. Was that Lucifer? No. Who's afraid of Lucifer? Only the people who don't know who God is. Because again, fallen angel. I mean, just really, fallen, F-A-L. I don't need to say more. And anybody who's using more of stories, Michael Stone, evil forensic criminologist scale, they all end up in prison except for the idiots that get followed by them. And there you go again. So adaptive child part people. They follow each other around. They think that they know how to be prophets. And that's because they think they can speak forth the mind and heart of God while not encouraging or comforting or challenging or strengthening people. They are not prophets, are they? Prophecy, speaking forth the mind and heart of God. Spiritual gifts are the same as clairs. Clairs are the same as whatever neuroscientists are calling them. And prophets are pretty much the same as gurus. And really, God is consciousness and free will. Without consciousness, well, that is something we'll talk about maybe later. But this guy made a really good point. He's like, well, consciousness and free will, they must exist together. He wrote a book. It's called Irreducible. You can read it, but I haven't gotten it yet. So he says, only with consciousness does free will make sense, because consciousness tells you where to go, and so free will without consciousness cannot exist. And as an 8-year-old, again, consciousness told me, I'm going to help people when I grow up. No, Maria said, I want to help people when I grow up. And then God told me, you keep on chucking away by doing what? I sent you my son. Forgive, they don't know. Turn the other cheek. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Do not cast a stone, my child, for you are just as much a sinner as anybody else. He didn't say I was going to have to whip myself into pummel, and there's people who still whip themselves. And the Franciscans, these are hilarious. Actually, I don't know all of their history, but what I can tell you is one of my guides, he's a Franciscan. He has the brown suit, and that it made me think of this one dude who said, I did the, having sex and drugs and da-da-da, and I decided, what is all this? And he went from being basically an atheist, or I don't know, some shit like that, to this other extremist, and he made me think of these women who I had met a while back, who basically told me, yeah, no, I did everything but have sex with my husband before I got married. I waited, and I'm promoting that, kids don't do anything. And I'm like, okay, I am in support of education. I'm happy I don't have kids because I definitely would not want to. I would be completely all over this shit, and not in a way that would be advisable, because I'm that much of a person who does not feel that the world is safe for kids at all. Thank you, Patrick Tian. You're doing a great job again. But yeah, starting with the parents, ending with the teenagers, I still see them being just as, just as insecure as ever. So while for me, cowards ended up becoming those who I said, hey, God, there's no Lucifer, I still know what they do, which is play pretend. And I don't like to see children getting hurt in any way, shape, or form, which is why I said, hey, God, so like those people in cloaks, they're hurting people. They're keeping us all divided, and they're saying that Reiki is bad energy and that yoga brings demons out of you. And now they're even saying that they want to redirect mysticism, and they're continuing to try to hold on to stuff. I think that there's this prophecy I heard about. I think I know what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal it, but I'm pretty sure I have it clear because I don't want to say it, but what happened to the Roman Empire? Does anybody remember in history? I have very bad memory, but if I recall correctly, the Roman Empire didn't know they were being defeated because they were so much up their assholes in ego that they didn't notice. Or was it because they lacked science and technology? I'm going to say Napoleon too, right? I think he also. What happens when people are so up their assholes that they don't notice shit? What was it, Dr. Daniel Fox? Self-awareness, the mustard. I see. So when you meet people who don't have self-awareness, again, liar, liar, pants on fire. And then what do you have when people will have committed to saying yes to a group of people, once they find out cognitive dissonance is a bitch. It's not karma. No, what I like is smart people know how to look at themselves in the face. They go to the mirror and they say, you know what? I made a decision. It was wrong. I'm so sorry. I was completely wrong. And that's how it works. And I'm not kidding you. And so with that being said, I'll use me. I will stay vague, but I will completely give you this example. Okay. So again, I'm a human being, but I am also mystic. But you can just treat me like a woo-woo pseudoscience lady, because I'm okay with that, because science is awesome. And so with that, thanks God, don't worry, I got it. He's telling me not to play know-it-all, which I'm not. I don't know everything. But so this story begins with, as a human being who is an American entrepreneur, not an Italian, as they have a very poor mentality, although they're trying to change that, and I'm rooting for them. I interviewed a beautiful human being. I'm like, they need you. They actively need your entrepreneurial spirit, because seriously, their old karma, all of Italians' karma, they are such pessimists. It's not even funny. It's like, how are you going to change the energy if you don't do shit about it? And no matter how many times I try to present it, I will. This is the part of why, again, you own your own destiny if you want. You don't have to. I mean, I'm not going to make you own it. Again, the Italians, you try telling them something, and I don't know all Italians, but I know pretty much enough of them to tell you that they have the whole ball in a chain. I'm like, no, I don't do ball in a chain. My life partner and I are not balls and chains. We're like balloons who fly like an eagle to the sky. I mean, we could use chains for other things though, but no, really chains, I don't see. Just the word, even saying it, change, yes, not chains. We don't want to chain people down. That sounds horrible. It sounds like Alcatraz or, some other ancient movie from somewhere. somewhere over the rainbow. So as we move forward, we all know comedians like myself right now. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm thinking that this opportunity that's being presented to Italians will be a good one. And this doesn't go well as I'm having a complete interaction to the point of where I completely get the, like the, the polyamory and the comedian that we're all whores. Yes, but not that. So, I actually have more of what is a jaw drop. Like when you see those cartoons where, inside, not outside. Fast forward, I can say that thanks to smart people who have explained to me things, I'm like, okay, I understand where I was wrong. Does that justify insulting people? No. Does it make people better or worse? Nah, it makes people not know how free will is your capacity to choose to notice if you have a behavior that's completely unnecessary. Because again, I'm a political science major, though I should specify that should activate the sympathetic. So I choose not to talk about politics because I saw exactly that, which is basically complete a lot of things. I'm not going to speak about it again. I keep choosing not to on purpose. Hello, darkness, my old friend. The difference is I don't harbor resentment or charge. I just know when I see comedians, they're all over the place. And when I hear about why, I just have a good time knowing that my cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. And that's why, yes, I'm a dum-dum. That's how people say, so you don't have any opinion? Nope, not even one. Can I go now? Because I really want to go have fun somewhere. That's how we work. The balloons that fly like an eagle. So when you want to avoid conversations, you do know how to pivot. And when they say you're avoiding it, yes, actually I am on purpose, because really I don't want to get into debate right now because it's not going to get pretty. I already know where I stand and I know where you stand. So you can keep calling me dumb because I'm happy with that, but I won't get into it because, it's just better not to. That's how we do it, and that is how we do it. So we hold on to tradition in our own way, and when people think we're not, we're okay with that too, because, again, the Roman Empire, it didn't last forever. Who wants to live forever? Well, consciousness technically won't live forever, because we're at one of, I forget which roundabout. Sadhguru told neuroscience, no, it was a physicist, I don't remember what of those subject matter experts, but he told them where we're at, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty fair and square. And no, I was teasing him about it because I said, you're coming back, Sadhguru, it's not your last lifetime. And then I was like, you're wrong, Maria. And when that came forth, I was able to tell myself that I'm wrong, and that's why I'm telling you all, I was wrong, I admit it. And then there's other funny stories where I was wrong, and I admitted that too. So when you can admit that you're wrong, it is a grown-up's world. Yay! And when you can do so with fun, that's even more fun. And guess what people who don't have their ventral energy anchored in do when they perceive that we're always happy? You're pretending, and I don't like you, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to go now. That way I can go on a high. You can go be, whatever that is. And really, I know what it is, but I won't tell you because I was told not to play the know-it-all, and it has nothing to do with superheroes, supervillains, or spirits, or evil, anything. It's just your dysregulated nervous system. And you could work on that to be a clown, but one that is Krishna Lila, exploring the depths of seriousness with profoundness, not that which is a poor, unfortunate soul seaweed with so sad but true, that one wanting to be pretty, that one wanting to get the girl and do. Ursula helps each other. Yes, they do. They call each other a lot of names. And then they continue making up more groups. So now they're at the fourth wave of Twin Flames. They got some bunch of different types of titles for different souls from different places. It's amazing. And what I love about smart people is that they will notice. So what's his name? This guy, Federico Faggi, he talks about when he first began looking into, I think, this spirituality, and he's like, it'll only some of what you'll read will resonate, but then at a certain point it doesn't all match up with you, which is actually what I understood and understand even without him, meaning mystics can't decide for other mystics how their life is going to go. And when people don't like to hear that, that's because they're using books and they want to be in a box. And so I'm intuitive, I know what's going on. Okay. I don't know. You don't know what's going on in my oversoul. No, but I'm intuitive, I know what's going on. I'm in your space, I could feel it, I could see it. Okay, look, I mean, we have a relational field. So I know that you're in my field because we're in each other's fields, but you don't know what's going on. Are you done being omnipresent, omni-knowing? What is this? You have charges. You got shit going on. Take care of it. Stop being in my space. I didn't ask you. Oh, this is funny. Yeah, so actually for lovely mystics out there, if you have people who are in your space, it's okay. They're allowed. You can easily just do this. That's all I did. And then I just said, wow, this is really interesting. So I'm not afraid of copycats and people in my space, because the reality is peace, joy, love, that is what I am. And then I think if they're happy, at least they're happy. And at least they're pretending to be happy. I wish they would go to Patrick Tiahan so that they could get their poor unfortunate souls, so sad but true, in the ventral vagal state, and then they would finally be able to actually enjoy Anima Mundi the way that I do, and their light body, because they would know how to be in a window welcome with affect. That's how it is. So understanding and communicating is, I don't pat people on the back and say, oh, great job, oh, and anybody who wants to do that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I know where I get the trait from, and I have shared this with my mother because we share it together. It's like, we're just doing life. What's there to be so proud about? It's called, I can know that the common sense is I'm a decent human being. Are we praising people for being decent? Or is it, I agree with the trophy for all the children, because a child, I want them to feel like a winner, but I also agree with them then being explain things like, okay, look, the whole world has decided that every child gets a trophy, but let me tell you how this works. Not because you have to win. There's a whole way you can explain why a child will be not a winner, and it's not by yelling in their face. Although I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to do any of this stuff, but I can understand how you don't want to be like, okay, you did great. It's okay, here's a trophy, you can have it, but remember, you actually didn't really excel, because here, I want you to have fun. And then again, that's why there's a village for kids, because really, there's some who will do a better job than have to bore the child to death with this type of explanation. I'm already hearing it. It's like, I don't care about your explanation. I got a trophy. And that's why it'll be nice to have the one who says, did you leave it alone? They got a trophy. Just let them have the trophy. And with those two inputs, there you go. You got a kid who's not confused because they got the explanation. And then they got, it's okay, you have a piece of toy to play with, and the kid will not really care, because a kid has a whole different perception than a grown-up. Anybody remember? I'm disowned. I have no sister. Oh, it's fake. Ha 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 ha. You can't disown me, and I can keep bugging you all I want. And that's exactly how it worked, probably. I don't remember that part. I just remember being explained it's not true. You can't be disowned, and that's why I don't have effective realism. And so, yes, thank you for being here at HP. The world does revolve around me, and that's the way you're going to get to know what resiliency looks like in a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, functional child adult. I don't pretend to be Maria. I am Maria, all of her, and I don't have any shadow powers because I didn't exile any of me. There's no unseen 1-year-old or 3-year-old or 7-year-old. You better bet I don't do the let me be a comedian with, what is it? Envy, jealousy, spite, revenge, or vindictiveness. Actually, the vindictive one, that energy is really, really sad. I have not encountered it personally because it can't exist in my life. So when people will use the word, I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You think someone can take something away from you or someone on purpose? Well, if it's something, it's an object. So, I mean, hey, it's okay. I got my hands, I got my feet, I got air, I got water, I got food. I'm good. Thank you, God. You have blessed me. I have health. What else do I want? I'm going to grow old and healthy. I don't want anything else. Oh, and I'm going to have a way to be living. Okay. I'm as happy as can be. There you go. And humanity's saved because the therapists save them all. Even without us of spirit, the therapists save them all. The good ones, like Dr. Daniel Siegel. I root for Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Fox, Bezel Vanderkolk, Stephen Porges, Janina Fisher, Peter Levine, Pat Ogden. I do love also what Ruth Lanius and Bethany Brand are doing. And my teacher, Dr. Albert Wong, with Sue Martin. They're all amazing people. Really, they're amazing. A bunch more that I don't remember. And ICABM with their entire keep. So everyone that experiences the power of truth, yes, it's that they are just as special as can be. just the way they are, with an open heart, as the one that got to become their true self and or stay their true self. And so the ones who are not, I'm happy that they have my brothers and sisters of fear, their own leaders that they can look up to and continue to think that they're winning. Somehow the illusion, you know what happens to those who are pathological liars, right? They like will twist shit to the bejesus of me. I swear, when you see people who acknowledge this and you say, okay, look, that we do realize that this is not going well. We can't do anything about it though. Is, you know what Dr. Daniel Fox says, right? Like, they have to be the ones who notice that their maladaptive patterns are no longer functioning, but they have such a way to make sure that they can keep exactly what they created. They're like perfection in it. So when people have the capacity to heal, but they're not, but they do have the capacity to love people to the extent of where they will do things, this is where that's their compromise. So we can only know that thanks to us being able to say, okay, I'm responsible for my body and my brain and my heart and myself, and then the law does the rest, because that's how it works. You can't make people go to therapy if they don't want to. You cannot. You're going to have to watch them wither away as Dorian Gray. Not really, and then again, yes, and then again, no, and then again, yes, and that is the saddest thing ever. But having an explanation helps me tell you, please do not worry. As my somatic therapist told me, everybody's headed to the restorative embodiment of themselves unless they decide to deny it, like the fancy lady in a suit who says it's dangerous to have no emotions. And she, in fact, is inside her body, thankfully. Once you have locked yourself in the dark sides of neuroplasticity, the shame, blame, fault, revenge, whatever your pathology, you're going to stagnate. And that's because your body would not want you to feel torture. And that's where I'm going to leave it, because that's just a hypothesis that I know, because you see them with gut wrench, torn apart, self-loathing, and they continue to live with bodies that seem like they're going to fall to the ground, some of them, and others you don't know, but just looking in the eyes are like, okay, that is not going well. And when you find out that people have areas where they're numb, and so they will break their ankles while being racing and running, break their arms, break their muscles, it's actually explanatory, because their insula is underactive, so they don't have the head and the body connected. So see, if a person cared about themselves, they wouldn't wait to get to therapy. They would immediately go and take care of it, because all this information is online. I mean, I know I took courses, but I see it all over the place. So when I'm seeing somebody doing like out-of-body experience on screen, I'm like, you're just re-traumatizing each other. That's not something funny, actually. I'm just like, you're in the low frequency. So all those different voices that I heard would be present and that people would be following, I know exactly who those voices are. And so again, we have two groups. One is a body of rainbow people with the heart in the forefront, and there you go, it's our love frequency, securely attached and untraumatized people. And then we have our comedians with their child parts, and that's all of it, and shadow, and the orphans and exiles. And you'll notice the difference. You know why? Because we come together, we have fun. Spirituality and sciences, they, on the other hand, how dare they take everything, accepting all and reject none? What are you, morons, you idiots? And that's all they know how to do, is pretty much come and share their thoughts on our castles. And we say, no, we don't, because they don't really bother, except for, even if they get pissed, it's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Oh, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. You know, comedians told me that they can't make jokes that make everybody happy. I should have learned how not to speak up, because it bothers you that I speak up. Can you see how a person who consistently has no issue sharing their thoughts can keep going? And that's exactly why, again, it's not about proving points. Science tells you the how, but not interested in the why. Peace, joy, love, sense of me. This is that lovely Federico. And he's saying how the Satori moment he had, I'm calling it that, was a sense of being home. And he said, and then I went back to normal, which is what tells me it's a Satori moment and not an out-of-body moment, because the out-of-body is, it's so easy to be dead, the pseudo-aliveness. And then back in the body you go. And my body's way down. That's not how the body's supposed to feel. Your body doesn't know how to be anchored in ventral energy yet. And that's something you can actually work on. Because, as lovely Rick Hansen points out, I think it's his name, Let's remind the lovely listeners who don't know it. Most pain has no gain. In other words, it wears down the immune system, disrupts the gastrointestinal system, impacts the nervous system, and leads to depression. So yes, when you have dysregulated embodied people, they don't have energy and they don't care to get themselves healed. So with that, if they did, they would be able to definitely do something different in their day-to-day life. But if they don't, they won't, and we can't make them. And even the inner engineering program, it can help you to get ventrovagal toning, that's for sure. But if you don't understand what your child parts wanted to share with you, and that's why I believe I can fly. No, I believe in good therapy for people who don't feel good about life and themselves. And I'm not joking. So when I see Patrick Tiahan, as he says, when we establish a consistent bond with our inner child, we no longer seek a missing parent in others. When you see a functional adult, you're going to notice them. And they're going to be here, functional inner child adults, because again, we're all crooked, meaning we all can be making mistakes all around. We are not about who is going to be better than the other, because all leaders want one thing, the ability to bring out the best in others. And that's why we are of spirituality, whether it's God, source, doesn't matter. We know that all our brothers and sisters can become the best they can be. That's an empowered feminine, and that's also an empowered masculine. And so when we are wrong, we will say we're wrong, and then we bring our best foot forward with mindfulness practices, mindset skills, and the inner growth mindset. And those who need therapy are with a therapist. 20 years, 30 years, it don't matter, until they're able to work with this and not have this be what takes over their life, and that they have exiles that keep coming up. And so again, it's not about it being something that you need to look down upon. It's that the unseen part has shadow parts and has exiles protectors, and the mask is to protect oneself. And if you can't break free from that which are maladaptive patterns of behavior, that's not a good thing for yourself. Others, if you meet self-agents, we don't care. We are gonna not have an issue with insecurity, because again, people who are self-agents are self-regulating. Like I said, I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized person. You could be in whatever nervous system you want. I've been differentiating since a long time ago as a mystic with not only my oversoul, earth, beyond, and I've had so much practice with my oversoul in and of itself that it's not something that was ever hard. No. What was very fascinating and irritating was something that I don't talk about again ever on choice, on purpose, because, once you realize some things, it's not necessary. Oh, also, I know how the organizations and systems work. And when I hear buffoons, I love their theories. They are amazing. Yes, so tradition, again, some of us carry it by walking a walk and talking a talk. Jesus, it's not controversial. He walked the walk and talked the talk as a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person without the words. So did Buddha, even though the tree thing took me a little bit off guard, Buddha. And so does all of that other suffering stuff. But I get it. I get the ventrovagal toning exercises, the meditation. I get all of that, which those, that's thanks to Sadhguru, by the way. So I know what the one side of being does with the other side of doing. I'm a doing being, as I come with do. And then I know be. But I knew be before doing do. I just didn't recognize it because, again, empowered feminine here. So I didn't lose Maria. And by not losing my 3-year-old differentiated self, thanks to having the good parenting. And so I didn't have exiles protectors. And when those 11-year-olds got mean, I'm like, I ain't pretending to be mean because I'm vulnerable. Pure essence of vulnerability right here. What do you want? Yes, mad, sad, afraid. You can keep teasing. Surprise! Yes, disgusted. Ew. Happy. Yay. Yeah. What are you doing? I don't understand. You really are confusing. No, you're not confusing me. No. I'm not going in the water anymore because you didn't listen to me. Healthy boundaries. I was a healthy boundaries kid. You're annoying. I'm still annoying. And now I'm serious. And that's because healthy boundaries. When you have unhealthy boundary people, they don't know how to listen. So you just repeat yourself. What I love about empowered masculine and feminine, we each have the same depth of seriousness. And it's not serious in a way of it being actually serious. No, we have fun. It's called we're thorough. We're thorough with an open heart and our oneness of sense of self, and bringing forth the best of ourselves and each other, while we get to deal with the comedians who don't bring the best of themselves, but we know that we're not their parents, so we're not going to do let me parent you. We're going to notice they got mother wounds, father wounds, whatever wound, all wounds, charges. They got charges and they hang out together and they have a good time yelling at each other. We have a good time making fun, and then we say, look, we're evolving. Look, consciousness is expanding. Look, the earth, hopefully, dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. Please don't implode. Oh, look, look, look. No, the asteroid, will it hit us? It won't hit us. No, we hope not, please. So, again, thanks for stopping by. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.